Nutrition is something that I think is often underestimated. So educating our clients is very important. So what you're going to take away is, one, how to eat for you. We don't have a cookie cutter program here. We have a very different program for a nurse than would be for a stay-at-home mom, than would be for an athlete. Everybody has a different need. Also, you're going to understand, what does inflammation mean? Vegetarians really struggle with not eating beans and with inflammation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too, and how we can help vegetarians. We're going to get into the science of it and help you to understand our program and how it's going to benefit you.
Hi, I'm Mark Sestock. As Reggie mentioned, I'm going to be the one kind of breaking down our eating system here at Panthro Fitness and going into a little bit of the science behind of what we do. So the major thing that we're trying to instill in our clients here at Panthro is that we want you to look at food as something to, yes, look forward to and enjoy, but also something that you need to understand really determines who you are, how you feel, and basically what you're capable of doing in your everyday life. If you're constantly giving your body poor nutrition, lack of sleep, no water, very little hydration, very little minerals and vitamins, it's going to react and survive in the only way it knows how. It's going to start to basically slow down, not respond the way you want it to respond. The main thing to remember though is the body's bottom line is survival. It does not care if you want to be lean. It doesn't care if you're overweight. It doesn't care about anything. It wants your heart to keep beating. And the best way it knows how to do that is to work on things that it's been doing and has always done. So we're trying to get your body to readapt to what we're trying to do it. It's all about reacting to the stresses that are put on your body on a daily, consistent basis. So how do we take what you're doing currently and convert it into this new athletic approach to eating? Well, it's about consistency, number one, but it's about remembering that principle of homeostasis. If you want your body to look, feel, and perform a certain way, you have to get it to that new set point. And the way to do that is through constant bombardment of high quality vitamins, minerals, and hard work. So let's reverse the clock here. Let's pretend we're 1,000 years in the past, or even further than that, 10,000 years in the past. We're cavemen, all right? All our food is coming from things that we can hunt, pick, or maybe grow with limited options there. So how do we get from there to where we're at today, where we can get in your car, drive down to the grocery store, pick up your food, go to the fast food restaurant, whatever it is, knowing that we can obtain our food easily in this country and most westernized countries. There are some parts of the world that still rock it like they did back then in the caveman days. But here, food's really easy to come by for most people as long as you have the money. So you gotta kind of earn it. And that's what we try to instill in people. It's called dynamic eating. So basically, you're creating a demand for energy on your body through exercise and through watching what you eat, and you're giving it a reward to nourish it. But what about the world that we've come from? Whereas we have to go get our food and actually find it and utilize that for energy and not simply rely on something that we know is there. What if you go a day without eating? Is that the end of the world? I'm here to tell you it's not. Our bodies, again, are set up for survival. We are great at survival. That's why we are the people we are today. We've evolved by surviving. We have changed. If you study human history at all, you know that people have kind of progressed in their evolution throughout history. Neanderthals were different from Homo sapiens, which we are. Cro-Magnons are different from Neanderthals. All of that makes a big impact in the way we eat and look at food today. Now, food is a big part of most people's lives, whether it be culturally or on an everyday basis. People just enjoy it. I understand that. And you should enjoy your food. We're going to compare a housewife, an elite high school wrestler, and an average person who gets their exercise in on most days of the week, if not all days of the week, but just kind of casually exercises, as I like to put it. Doesn't do anything too intense. So we have all different kind of spectrums. For the athlete, the sedentary individual, and that person right in the middle, all their nutritional needs are basically going to be the same with a little fluctuation. I call it the 85% principle. 85% of the things that the athlete does is going to be exactly the same as the sedentary individual and exactly the same as that person in the middle. 15%, there's going to be a difference. Basically, what we need to get you to do is just constantly give your body exactly what it needs to get to your goal. And that comes with, of course, calorie content, protein intake, hydration, supplementation, and the like that all encompasses our program. And if your goal is much like that of the general population, get lean, be healthy, be happy, feel good, then it's all about eating quality nutrients. Earth-based nutrients are what we preach here at Panthro Fitness. And that means stuff that grows in the ground, roams free, or you can pick from a tree or bush, things that are around from 10,000 years ago that will be here in 10,000 years. That's what our systems have evolved from eating. So if you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, well, where do I begin? How do I eat a better diet right now? Simply go to your cupboard and throw out everything. No, I'm only kidding. But how about let's take a look at what's in that cupboard. Is it boxed? Is it prepackaged? Is it pre-made? Does the ingredients list contain things that you can't even pronounce? That's probably a good indication you need to get rid of that. So where do we start? Well, it starts at the beginning of the day. And we believe that here at Panthro that you should start your day off with something in your system, especially if you're working out. And that means protein and healthy fats. No carbohydrates. Why? Well, when you go to bed at night, you go into what's called a fasting state. And basically your body becomes very, very receptive to insulin. And insulin is both your friend and foe when it comes to fat loss. So you need to be able to know how to control it. When you wake up in the morning in this fasted state, you are insulin sensitive. You're very receptive to basically any nutrient your body's going to take in. And whether you understand it or not, anything you put in your mouth is going to cause your insulin level to spike. And insulin is a storage hormone. It's the most powerful storage hormone in the human body. Actually, when you hear about athletes taking anabolic steroids, you can kind of say they're taking the weak stuff because insulin is actually stronger of a storage agent than anabolic steroids are. Now, if that gets your head spinning, don't worry. I'm going to clarify it right now. So when you wake up and you want to spike your insulin level, what does that do? It puts you in a storage mode from the jump of the day. The first thing that your body recognizes, hey, we're getting in carbohydrates, we're getting in sugar. Let's shoot this insulin level up to deal with it. And that's exactly why people develop type 2 diabetes, because they spend all day long eating carbohydrates, both complex and simple, and it raises their insulin level up to heights that the body really doesn't need to be at if you don't put that demand on it. What we want to do here, instead of eating a lot of carbohydrates in the beginning of the day, is to start your day with protein and fat. It keeps the glycemic index score low on your foods. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, we're here to teach you about it, but not today. It keeps that score low and allows you to derive energy from fat. And is that a good thing? Absolutely. A lot of people have this notion that fat is what makes you fat, and nothing could be further from the truth. So if we're taking a top-down view of our program as a holistic view of what we're trying to achieve here, we're basically seeing that we're taking the fat that we use from our food, using that as energy, and taking our complex carbohydrates, primarily complex, little simple carbohydrates here and there, primarily from fruit and vegetables, but we're taking those complex carbs and using those to refill what's called our glycogen tank. Glycogen is simply the storage form of carbohydrate in the body. It's within your muscle tissue. And our goal with our workouts is to get you depleted on those glycogen stores and tap into those body fat stores. So if we look at the hierarchy of energy priority when it comes to our nutrition, we can break it down very simply. First, our body wants to use carbohydrate, if it's available. After carbohydrate, we have fat or lipid. Our bodies want to break into that lipid store only after our carbohydrate storage is used up. So it makes sense to eliminate carbohydrates altogether if we can. Now the body's always going to be breaking stuff down into glucose, which is the basic form of carbohydrate. But if you provide your body with enough fat, lipid, for fuel as opposed to carbohydrate all day long, your body's going to get really proficient at breaking down that lipid for fuel. Now, if we're filling you up with healthy fats all day long and we're giving you complex carbohydrates around your most energy demanding times around your workouts to take advantage of the good response of insulin that we want, which is known as insulin sensitivity, and you're ultra insulin receptive and sensitive after hard workouts. So to make best use of refilling that glycogen storage, we're gonna say, hey, let's take in some carbohydrates after your workout, maybe a little bit before too, to just provide a nice spike in your blood sugar to help you fuel your workout and work out really hard. But after that, after that post-workout meal, you're not going to get many complex carbohydrates on our plan. And a lot of people have problems with that. But I'm here to tell you, it's the number one thing preventing you from losing body fat, is keeping a lot of complex carbohydrates in your diets. The number one thing I see in most food logs that come to me on a very normal basis, hey Mark, can you check my food log to make sure I'm doing okay? Sure. I flip it open, and what do I see? Almost every single meal has a direct carbohydrate source in it. We're talking bread, crackers, pasta, you name it, cereals, anything of the sort. And those are not great sources anyway for carbohydrates. So I tell my clients, please try this week. I give them a new plan. And basically that plan is relying on those healthy fats that we talk so much about. Things like coconut oil, avocado, healthy fats from the egg yolk, and healthy fats found in meats too. Let's use those for your energy sources. And let's use the complex carbs only around times we really, really need it. And that comes back to that principle of dynamic eating. Giving your body what it needs when it needs it, not just giving it things to give it to it. So a lot of what we do here in our nutrition program is getting people to change their energy source. But it's up to you to actually implement that. And what I mean by that is, if you're going back and forth switching carbohydrates to fat all day long, you're not really sticking to our plan, you're gonna be kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Basically because your body doesn't know what fuel source it wants to use. It keeps getting bombarded with different signals. Your body works on negative feedback loops, meaning that if you keep giving it something, it's gonna tone other things down to compensate for that. It's not gonna keep going along with the program. Remember, it's a survivalist. Now, beyond restricting your energy source to lipids and fats over complex carbs, we also emphasize a lot of fruit and vegetable intake. Most people have a problem with this when they first start here. Basically because most people don't eat fruits and vegetables. It's the last thing they want to eat because they're not savory, they're not filling if you don't eat enough of them. But I'm here to tell you, if you plan and try to tell yourself to eat vegetables, eat fruit at not fruit, but vegetables at every single sit-down meal, you will be more inclined to eat them farther along in your journey. Why? Homeostasis. Your body gets used to it. You start noticing that things are working better. You feel different. Your joints aren't so sore after workouts. You wake up with a level head of a nice stable level of energy from all the low glycemic index carbohydrates you're eating, and the fats on top of it gives you that nice stable energy level. So a major point I like to talk about with my clients is inflammation. And I believe, no, scrap that. I know that inflammation is keeping weight on your body if you're watching this video and wanting to lose weight. Why do I say that? Well, experience, number one, and two, scientific research. You can get on Google right now and look up inflammation and see all the wonderful research that's been done by plenty of people smarter than myself that shows this is keeping weight on your body. And what do I mean by inflammation? So, when you get punched, you swell, right? When you get bruising, you swell. Inflammation is a key immune response of your body, and it's needed to live. Whether you realize it or not, your body's undergoing inflammation in one way or another pretty much every second of every day, depending on your lifestyle, of course. So, if it's necessary and we need it to live, do we want to eliminate it altogether? When it comes to our food, as much as possible is better. And what I mean by that is if we can get you eating our way of eating a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, and certain things that you might think, I never tried that before, let me try it out, your body's going to have what's a lower inflammation rating. So there's all this science nowadays about inflammation ratings, and you can go look that up yourself. But what I refer to it as the inflammation factor, IF. So when I say IF, that's what I mean. Now, when we take some foods, the IF is a lot lower than certain other foods, even if both foods are considered generally healthy by most people. For example, beans. When I deal with vegetarians, most come to me and say, hey, I'm reading through your diet plan for me, and where are the beans? That's where I get my protein from. That's what my doctor says I need to use for my protein. Okay, beans have been used for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years as a protein source for most people. While it's true that they do contain protein, they do contain some healthy fats, depending on the bean, it's also true that beans are more like bread than they actually are like a protein source. And beans have been shown to have a quite high inflammation factor, a quite high IF. As such, they're not a part of our nutrition program. Now, if you're a vegetarian, you're having concerns about your protein intake, come speak with us, and we can work around that problem. So what I'm trying to get at is a lot of foods you might be eating on an everyday basis might be something that's keeping you from your physique or fitness related goals. Literally 10 to 20 pounds of unwanted weight on your system could be from inflammation, simply from lymphedema, which is the swelling of lymph nodes in the body. Now, if you don't know what lymph nodes are, let's keep it simple and say they're an immune response tool your body has. Everyone has them. They all work basically the same if you're healthy. And what they do is inflame upon when they're agitated. And a lot what agitates them, we find, is food, and certain foods more than others. That's that IF factor. So how do we go about fighting that and eating in a way that's going to promote a healthy, leaner, fitter you? Again, it's all about consistency and homeostasis. It takes about 30 days of consistent eating on our plan to actually change your taste buds. Yes, you will not crave the same foods that you're craving now. I can almost guarantee it if you're honest with me. I'm honest with you. All I ask is when you're logging your food, you're honest with me. Foods that were there 10,000 years ago, foods that are here now still, and foods that will be here 10,000 years from now. Those are the things that the human body is supposed to be processing all day long. Your body does not like high fructose corn syrup. It doesn't like fried foods. It doesn't like alcohol. It doesn't like those things. Some of those things taste great, and they can make for a really good time. But you have to determine if those good times and those feelings are your real intentions with the way you're eating. It's about really determining what your goal is and where you're currently at and where, say it with me now, your homeostatic set point is currently residing at. Figuring all that out is going to lead to long-term success, long-term weight management, and hopefully you only have to watch a video like this once.